The Arctic in our world. It's a land of ice and snow. The land of darkness and light. Where these strange creatures have had adaptations. Especially in extreme conditions. Despite the cold and harsh winter, life still blooms in the short cool summers. That make this fragile ecosystem to become a remarkable ecosystem. Come here and explore the Arctic. One of the distant places. And the most beautiful on Earth. Because the Earth's axis is tilted. So the Arctic. We get a lot of sunlight in the summer. And very little in winter. When spring turns to summer, the time is getting longer. Until one day the sun doesn't set at all. When the daylight lasts through the night. It's called the midnight sun. A phenomenon that appears in the days around the lower Chi. As autumn turns to winter, it gets shorter and shorter. Until one day the sun doesn't rise. And the darkness lasted for 24 hours. It's called polar night. Polar nights can be long. But there's a light in the dark. And its name is aurora. Aurora borealis. It's also known as the Northern Lights. It's a light display in the night sky that can only be seen near the North Pole. Although they can appear at any time. But they can only be seen at night. Because they're too dim to be able to see in the light of the sun. The Northern Light has fascinated people for thousands of years. Some people used to think they're spirits dancing in the sky. Others think they're dragon flames. Today's scientists know that the aurora is caused by electrical particles. Knew that the aurora is caused by charged particles from the sun interacting with the Earth's magnetosphere, excite the gases of the atmosphere until it glows. Light will also happen in the sky around Antarctica, where they're called southern lights. Anywhere on Earth far enough north, it has at least one night when the sun doesn't set. And one day the sun doesn't rise. It's considered to be within the Arctic Circle. The Arctic Circle is an imaginary line around the North Pole. It's about 66 degrees north. The Arctic is mostly the ocean. But it also includes parts of Greenland, Canada, United States, Russia, Norway, Finland, Sweden, and Iceland. Lands on the southern edge of the Arctic Circle. Usually covered by tundra. The tundra is very large and mostly devoid of trees. The summers in the Arctic are so cool and. But there's another hurdle. Beneath this thin soil, the land was closed by the sea. The plants that survive are mainly grass, moss, and shrubs. It grows close to the ground and has shallow roots. Even though there's less rain on the tundra, but the summer is very wet. The snow above melts. But water can't get into the ground through the frozen barrier of the permafrost 9. Because the temperature there rarely gets higher than 54 degrees Fahrenheit or 12 degrees Celsius, so the water evaporates very little. Instead, it's on permafrost, forming lakes or marshes. It will turn into ice as soon as the temperature drops to freezing. One more time, many species of birds, especially waterfowl, will migrate north to these cool summer marshes to breed. Some birds like swans blow their trumpets. Or some migratory birds will fly, or some migratory birds will fly in from the remote southern winter quarters, like Texas or Mexico. With the adults, can reach 13.6 kilograms weight. It's the heaviest bird native to North America. It's also the largest aquatic bird in the world, with a wingspan that can be over 3 m long. Wetlands in the Arctic provide vital habitat and shelter. Let the swans blow. When hunters have destroyed populations in Canada and the northern United States in the early 20th century to 1933, there's only a few 10 swans left. Can be found in these southern regions. And they're afraid they'll go extinct. Then a population of swans blew their second blow. It was discovered in Alaska. They have thousands of them. Some Alaskan swans They've been brought in, they've been overhunted. This gives the population hope of recovery. Water birds are not the only animals making a home on the tundra. Fish like salmon and cod. They migrate to the rivers there every year. And that's how these fish attract predators. Like bears and eagles, wolves and foxes also live here, along with musk cattle and reindeer. Reindeer. It's one of the great migratory species on Earth. In winter they migrate south to the snow pine forests. They can't exist too far north, where the snow is too deep, because they have to dig deep in the snow to eat moss and lichens underneath. In the spring they move, residing in the north, to take advantage of food from plants growing on the territory. And they breed here. Some North American reindeer have the longest migration among the animals, the longest migration of the animals that have fathers on land in the world, with a travel distance of up to 5,000 kilometers. Animals trying to survive in the Arctic take advantage of every advantage they have. And some species, I found that by change their appearance. In some lands of flat and snow, sometimes it's helpful if you have white fur. Some animals, like snow owls, will keep his white fur all year round. But some other species, like the Arctic fox, will wear brown or gray fur in the summer, and only turns white in the winter. Another color-changing bird is the ptarmigan. It's covered in brown and white hair. In the summer, they start to change their fur as the days get shorter. Both males and females will spend the winter months in fur, almost pure white. Once the snow starts to melt, the predators detect. And so, they go back to their porous hair color. The females regain their brown camouflage first. When spring comes, this gives it some protection from predators. In the process of incubation, males on the other hand keep their white fur for a while, to stand out and attract the kids. And to prove that they're smart and fast enough to avoid being eaten by predators. The Arctic. The arrowhead is another Arctic bird. And they also have a very different camouflage strategy. Ancient sea urchins are seabirds. They just go back to the mainland to nest and reproduce in caves dug on top of the cliffs. They like to breed on islands where the risk from predators much lower than on land. She spent months out at sea. And out at sea, their colors. In the sea their colors are very useful. They have black hair on their backs and white hairs on the underbelly. This color pattern is called reverse shadow, and it helps them into the dark ocean when viewed from above, or the sky is bright when viewed from below. Even though they can fly, but they rarely fly in the air. And they usually move by climbing their feet, have their membranes on the water. To catch fish, they dive and move by flapping their wings underwater, just like penguins do. The feeding areas, the abundance of the northern oceans, that attract large animals like whales. Humpback whales move north in the spring to feed krill species and small fish. There's a lot in the icy waters. Although humpback whales often live alone, but sometimes they also form small groups, especially when hunting. A group of humpback whales together can use a special method. It's called a bubble net to trap fish and krill. The whales will surround themselves with a flock of fish, and then the other whales will start blowing a bubble to trap them. Once the fish are stuck together, the whales will leap up from below them. Mouth wide open, they catch a lot of fish like a net. Their horns, allowing them to filter tiny organisms out of seawater. Humpback whales have to eat a large amount of food in the spring months, and summers to store enough of their fat. When the weather turns cold, they'll migrate to warmer tropical waters. And they won't feed until spring. It's in these warmer waters they'll mate and give birth. The newborn babies can't survive in freezing water temperatures near the poles. The grown ones, there must be a successful summer hunt so that they can survive the annual migration. Go further north. Go to areas where the ice never melts. Absolutely. In a place called the Arctic tundra. Even here there is life. Instead of tundra, the Arctic tundra has polar bears. There are very few plants here, mainly moss and lichens. The result is, most food chains don't rely on plants. Shallow. Instead, they start at sea. Walruses live on land, underwater or on ice. They sleep and rest on the beach, sea or ice shelf. They like to live near shallow water. Walruses don't have the ability to dive as deep as their relatives, is a seal, but they can still dive to the bottom of the sea to find. Their favorite food is clams, krill and oysters. Body and oyster. They can look very strange, but the hippocampus can adapt well with their icy habitats. Their wrinkled skin can be up to 4 inches thick, and the fat underneath the abdomen can be up to 6 inches thick. And its use is the same. Allows the hippocampus to stay warm in the frozen waters of the Arctic. Thick skin and thick hair contributes to the enormous size of the hippocampus. An adult male can weigh up to 900 kilograms. And some of them even weigh twice that. However, the most recognizable feature is their tusks. Both male and female walruses have tusks. Dentures are enlarged teeth that can be up to a meter long. Walrus, using your tusks as a tool to cling to the ice and help them pull themselves out of the water and climb up the ice. They also use his house to clear the breathing holes when there's too much ice on the surface of the water. Russia finally provides some defensive capabilities against the walrus hunting animals, like killer whales and polar bears. Due to the harsh environment in the Arctic, polar bears rely on meat more than any other animal. They mainly eat seals, waiting in the air holes on the ice until the prey pokes its nose out of the water. And then the polar bear will pull them up on the ice. Sometimes they'll catch walruses, sea unicorns and baby walruses in this way. But those prey, it's often difficult and takes a lot of effort. Polar bears are land predators, largest in the world, but they're also great swimmers. Sometimes they can swim for days to move between hunting areas. It's like a walrus, polar bear, well adapted to harsh living environments, where the harsh environment here. Thick white fur serves as camouflage, as well as insulation, and a layer of hair underneath that adds warmth. Their feet are very wide. They allocate weight and allow them to walk on thin ice without being broken. At the same time, their thick and strong claws help polar bears attach to slippery prey, as well as slippery ice in a better way. The Arctic is a harsh land, a forbidden land. But in this place, life continues to exist. Plants and animals still grow and multiply, and adapted to the harsh environment of this place. Many species depend on the cold and snow and ice. It wouldn't exist if it disappeared, because the Arctic climate doesn't welcome humans. So most of this place is still untouched. Fewer human footprints. But we might be messing up. The delicate balance depends on hunting, pollution and collecting 10 natural resources. It can cause changes and upend the network of life in the Arctic. On our planet,